Right, greetings everyone. Welcome to another video. So first things first, shoutouts to the obvious audio improvements. I have been reading the comments and I'm really glad that some people chimed in and let me know that the audio is much better than it has been. Obviously, Windows updates may still mess up some stuff in the future because I've had traditionally lots of problems with them, but I've added just a ton of new settings to my mic in OBS to really help with equalizing audio and making it generally better. So I'm really happy about that. I did record a bunch of videos the previous week for a playthrough of Final Fantasy VII. Those were done before the audio changes, so I'm a little nervous about releasing those. I think that they're probably going to have audio issues, so I'm not 100% sure that I want to do it yet, but maybe I'll just release them and re-record some stuff over. If you're wondering about that, that's where those are. But anyway, this is a follow-up tactics video. There hasn't been any new tactics news, but obviously there have been a slew of comments, some people excited, some people not excited. So let's address the Final Fantasy Tactics issues with this collaboration. Starting off with, of course, this is not a new collaboration. This isn't even the time of the year for a new collaboration. This is like a filler spot before a new collaboration. Like, if you look at it, it's historically August. That has been a spot for a big collaboration. Then, you know, there's a bunch of character stuff and Halloween stuff between now and the anniversary, but Wotv's output for events is not that fast. So them reintroducing some old collaborations with just a slew of improvements is perfect fit, given the apparent amount of workload for the amount of devs they have. And before anybody says anything stupid, like, and I do mean this in the nicest way possible, that if you take it, you know, egregious offense to this, you might be on the side of a problem, that Wotv is not making bundles of money. So I have a very low confidence that they're interested in investing at this point. They're more just keeping things going at the pace they can do, and more importantly, the content makers are doing what they can with the resources they have. So let's not be shitty to them. Obviously, the executives have probably already made a case for where they want Wotv to be, just going along with the flow. So with that being said, for when Tactics is essentially coming back, I think it is generally a good time. And before people get also too bent out of shape about what I'm saying, there's a new collaboration coming around anniversary time. It could be anything. It could be Final Fantasy XII. It could be Final Fantasy VII again, for all we know. But it could be Tactics. It could be that new part of Tactics. Maybe they're just getting all the old upgrades out of the way first before they introduce new characters, since these are old characters that most players who have been playing the game by now probably have these characters, or, you know, we all know that old characters don't outpace new characters in terms of quality. This is fine. This is generally fine for doing this kind of strategy. And Tactics coming back is just something generally nice because we haven't seen it for so long. So regardless of what's coming with Anniversary in terms of updates, here's a reality check. These characters were never going to be tier 0 and very unlikely to become tier 1 again. That's just fact. Because you know what? New characters have to shine so that the game can make money, so the game keeps running. It doesn't run on fairy dust and goodwill. It runs on cash. And if they're not making cash, that's a problem. Game won't continue. And that's true for any of these gacha games. So yeah, harsh reality check, I guess. But Tactics characters, I mean, between now and Anniversary, just enjoy them. Enjoy that they do get a power spike, that they do get some love and effort put into their kit, because that's great. We haven't seen this all entire year, so this feels pretty special. And I hate to be like harping on the community, but some of the community's response, I honestly don't know. I mean, I guess I know what you expected, but Yeah, the reality wasn't ever gonna be that. Sorry to tell you. Next, let's talk about the actual reworks, because honestly, I feel that this is pretty impressive. We look at old like collaboration units such as FF4 or 14 units that have been around pretty much just as long. They've never gotten any kind of upgrades such as this. The main jobs in the game have gotten upgrades, but this is kind of really the first time that we're seeing exclusive to character jobs get really big reworks, and that goes a long way. Now, also, I would just like to point out for people that are out there that while the preview is essentially like all of these job upgrades, well, let's just go take a look at Agrias, for example. Oh yeah, she doesn't have dream enhancements yet. Wait a minute, does she? She must have a limit burst. Oh, she doesn't have a... So we talked about in the previous video about the fact that we got a preview of all of the skill upgrades, but that's not it. There's going to be more. There's dream enhancements still to come. If we scroll all the way down in this preview, hold on, it's a long one. There's this, which has limit burst upgrades too. So you can probably expect, for the people out there who have been like, where are the stats? They'll get stat upgrades. They'll be in there. They'll stick with the dream enhancement. It's basically implied at this point, but again, tier 0, I don't know what you're smoking, but you should probably stop and think for a second. Yeah. Again, tier 2 I think is the best and most logical, like reasonable we can kind of expect these characters to get to in combination with other characters. And that's good enough for now. It shouldn't be overshadowing new content in the future. And yeah, no new units, no new vision cards, because this is not a new collaboration. This is a time filler collaboration. And for people who are screaming for tactics characters, new tactics characters, they've heard you. But if it is, I mean, looking at how tactics was in the past, tactics, old characters came out first, and then there was like another collaboration, part 2 that came after that a little bit later, that was new characters. So that can happen as well. So chill out, wait until the 5th anniversary and then pitchfork, I guess. But yeah, there will be new upgrades with anniversary. I think this will be quite short-lived in terms of their spotlights. This might, like, the one thing I will say that's a really fair criticism is that the timing of this does suck a little bit, because the tactics collaboration disappeared for a long period of time the last time we saw it, and it didn't come back for a good amount of time. So if there is 160 some kind of super trust mastery improvements on the horizon, tactics characters could get left out in the cold, which wouldn't be, not historically evidenced, I guess, because guess what? Hey, how's those Dragon Quest characters going? How's those Persona 5 characters going? There's a lot of suffering out there for certain collaborations. Tactics being not particularly that great of a case, though, because it's not owned by outside content or by, legal issues or whatever. It's just in the game. So yeah. And as for voices, I'm going to have to say that this is the one that is the least feels bad on my list. I understand that some people like hearing old characters with voices, but English voices are completely off the table at this point. So whatever, it's just Japanese at best. But honestly, this is one of those things like with CGs, where it's like you're going to listen to these maybe a couple times, maybe on and off in the future, but the amount of use for probably the amount that they need to spend on this kind of content just probably isn't worth it at this point. I just don't think that from a business perspective, it's probably just sinking money into generally nothing. And I'm imagining at this point, for fairness sake, the people who are actually like planning the content and making the content are working on a fairly set budget of money and time where they're given the opportunities and chances to do certain projects. I would like with, for instance, the Visions of Mana collaboration. I mean, I know it's the Trials of Mana collaboration, but it really is the Visions of Mana collaboration, since that's the game that came out around that time. It was Square Enix choice. Square Enix basically mandated from on high that we want you guys to do this, and there wasn't too terribly much choice from the content creator or the people who are making the content. As with Tactics, I'm sure that the higher ups once again have said, well, you know, we have these, and these plans in the future. We would really like a major collaboration at the anniversaries to be this, or this. Tactics, we don't really have maybe necessarily the most time. And given that the alleged, and I do mean this, alleged Final Fantasy Tactics remaster that seems to be being done at Square Enix has not been shown off at any event this year, with only the Game Awards at the end of the year being the last chance for major game announcements. You know, barring Switch 2 or potentially anything else that maybe just pops out of nowhere. The year is kind of over, so I can't see Tactics, this being the really big time. It might even be that this is just a forestall to an actual Tactics event once that remaster, remake, whatever the hell it actually is, gets announced and released. It could be, you know, it could be done and out in 6 months. Square Enix has been holding back revealing a lot of projects until they are about 6 months to a year ready to come out a lot, because Square Enix has taken a lot of flack in previous years for announcing projects too soon. Kingdom Hearts 4, Kingdom Hearts 3. Anyway, so yeah, I would say that if the, you know, given a set budget and set amount of time to work on getting Tactics back into the schedule with a lot of upgrades for all of the characters, if the deal that they had to make was cutting voices so that they didn't have to do all that work trying to get voice work in and pay for it and everything like that, and they spent the money rather towards giving some sizable upgrades for these characters so that people could enjoy them once again, I think they probably made the good choice. So yeah, I don't think that it was reasonable to expect really any actual new content for collaboration showing up at this point. I think that the upgrades are pretty sizable, and we haven't even seen the full scope of them yet, and that's fine. Leave something as a surprise for when they show up very, very quickly. Very, very soon, as of Monday night. And more than that, like, given whatever their budget is and the limitations that I'm sure the team is having to deal with right now, given that Wotv is not really earning extra players or whatnot, and probably they're getting very close to sunsetting this game and letting it ride out its lifespan for as long as it's making money. This is probably the best outcome that could have happened. So while I don't really say that this should be an area where you're spending money necessarily supporting this, because yeah, newer content would have probably been more appealing for that kind of, if people really wanted to support the game, maybe that would have been generally better for trying to get more support. But anyway, this is my long-winded opinion about this Final Fantasy Tactics redo. It might be unpopular at the end of the day for some people to hear this kind of opinion from me, but I'm fairly positive on this event because I just don't care about gacha in this game right now. I'm too downtrodden and had too much bad luck lately to actually really have that much sympathy for a new character coming out that I just am not interested on spending on, and not interested on just because of how my luck is. So yeah. No tiers. But I strongly suggest that whatever these upgrades are, the community just does them, because they are probably going to be pretty free and clear for long-term players to just have a chance to enjoy these characters once again, make some new teams with them, and at best, hopefully cause some problems for some tier 1 teams out there and wedge themselves into the meta for a little bit. Not a bad life. Anyway, so final point, I'm positive on this. I think they did good for the content creators doing what they could with what they had. And I hope the audio turns out great in this video again. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. See you later.